and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Wendy, and today we are going to go over all the books that I read in June. This month I was participating in a Survivor challenge on Gwen's Patreon, and I will link it below. And a lot of the books that I read were not planned, but had to fit the prompts that were on the Survivor challenge. So my books are a little bit different this month, but it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. I had so much fun competing with everyone and getting to know everyone, and Gwen's Patreon, Loca Loca for life, and it was just a good time. So the first book that I read was The Last Murder at the End of the World. I'll insert a picture here. I gave this book 1 star. This was for our book club pick for Gwen's Patreon, and I really just did not enjoy it at all. I thought it was very slow paced, very boring. There was just not anything keeping my attention at all. I did not care about the characters. I did not care what was going on. I thought this was like an Agatha Christie book that was way too long. If you like Agatha Christie, I'm sorry, you'll probably love this because it does read like a modern day Agatha Christie, but I have never liked an Agatha Christie style book yet. And so I just did not enjoy it. I don't enjoy slow-paced books where you're kind of trying to figure things out and really just having to think through it the whole time. I prefer my books to just be more about telling the story and more fast-paced. And I do like the slow burn sometimes, but this is just simply too slow for me. And there wasn't enough keeping my attention to want to find out what was really going on. I really could have DNF'd at any point and not cared or missed it, but I had to finish it because I was in the middle of a challenge. So that is why I didn't DNF it, otherwise I would have. So it was a 1 star. The next book I read was One Perfect Couple. This book I absolutely adored, by Ruth Ware, which I'm not surprised. I really enjoyed her books. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was so interesting, so entertaining. I enjoyed this so much. I couldn't wait to find out what was happening next. It is the 1-by-1 trope, but I'm not really sure why people don't enjoy that. I thought it was fun, and I just think that I obviously like those types of books. It reminds me of The Bachelor a little bit because it's like a couple competition. It reminds me of, well, it's a reality TV following couples that go to compete on an island and test their relationship, and then a huge storm happens and it is chaos from there. Obviously I can't give too much away because it is a thriller, but people slowly get picked off one by one and you have no idea what is going on. So I found it to be so entertaining beginning to end. I do think the one complaint I have about it was entirely too much cussing. So if you do not want language in your book, I don't recommend this one. But otherwise, I really loved the book. I really found it to be super well written and entertaining, and I enjoyed the twists. I just feel like it's the perfect summer read. It has Survivor vibes, so it was like perfect for the Survivor challenge. Beach vibes, island vibes. I mean, it's just a perfect thriller read for summer. If you like reality drama, it's just good. I really enjoyed it. The next book I read was Sprinkle with Murder, and this book, I did not enjoy it. I know that cozies are more cheesy, but this was just entirely too cheesy for me. I found it to be like very uninspired writing. I felt like a child wrote it. It was just kind of cringy, not very entertaining, very slow going, and the twists and stuff were just not, I mean, nothing in this book really impressed me, and I just wasn't enjoying it. I do feel like I kind of got out of my cozy mood this month, but at the same time, I think this kind of is the reason for it, to be honest. I simply didn't enjoy this one. I found it to be just very forgettable. The next book I read was AJ Fickery. I borrowed this from my friend Leah, and her and Keisha both absolutely love this book, so I couldn't wait to read it. I gave this book 5 stars, which is so surprising for me because I have not enjoyed a literary fiction to date until that book. And let me tell you, this book is so good. You should all read it. It is very poetic and really just emotional writing. I found it to be so just encapsulating. And I listened to the audiobook and I enjoyed the audiobook. It's a quick read and I just really highly recommend it, especially if you haven't found a literary fiction you like yet. You should try this one because I think it's just a really, really good read for anyone who's trying out literary fiction. So definitely recommend that one. The next book I read was Night by Eli Wiesel. This is following someone who is involved in the concentration camps during the Holocaust, and he is telling his story of it. It is a short read. It is about 110 pages, but does not lack impact. It definitely is so impactful, and so much is written in these 100 pages that I feel is challenging and also inspiring, also sad. I mean, anything you would expect from a Holocaust story is what it is, but I felt like it was very eye-opening and just educational and good to kind of just remember what they went through in this situation. And it was also for a prompt of mine, so it was very quick to get through. This is like a memoir kind of. So if you would like to try out a historical read that is shorter, I would definitely recommend this and see if you like it because it is super impactful. The next book I read was Becoming Free Indeed. This is a memoir by Ginger former Duggar. I think now it's Volo. And it was just a story telling about her life growing up on 19 Kids and Counting, and the kind of like the identity crisis she had to go through and the relearning of the ideologies and the beliefs that she was taught. She is not, talking in this book about all the drama that has gone on with her family. That's not what this is. It is more about her kind of deconstructing what she learned through Bill Gothard and having to compare it with what the Bible actually teaches, and just kind of piece by piece putting back together her belief system and realizing what is actually said in the Word and what was not said in the Word that was taught by this person that was incorrect, and having to go through some just challenges in knowing herself and knowing what she believes. And it was just very impactful. I think it's a really great message. It's super good on just teaching about the grace message and just salvation, and I highly recommend it as just a better look on the teachings that were kind of like cult-like. So I highly recommend it, but I gave this 4 stars. I don't normally rate memoirs, but I do feel like she talked more in depth about beliefs and Christian aspects and not necessarily just about her life. So that is why I went ahead and rated it. I did enjoy it. I listened on audio, and she does narrate the audio, so it is a good read. And then next after that, I read Every Summer After. I gave this one 4 stars. I really loved this book. This was my first Carly Fortune, and it did not disappoint. I thought this was so sweet. I binged this book. I loved every second of it. I felt like it was just a beautiful story, a beautiful romance. It is friends, childhood friends to lovers, and the only reason I didn't give it 5 stars is there is a trope in here that I don't like that kind of made me feel like taking a star off. But other than that, I do think the story is beautiful. I do think it's worth a read. It is a perfect summer book. It does have spice and some language, so do not read it if that bothers you. Next, I read Crime and Poetry. This was a buddy read with my friend Jules, Tammy, and Leah. We all really enjoyed this one. This was a 3-star for me simply because it was good, but not one of my favorites. I definitely prefer food cozies, but it is a great one to read. And there's a little bit of magic in there involved, and it has like references to writers and famous writers and different stuff. Some Emily Dickinson quotes and just fun things in there. If you're interested in that type of stuff, you would really enjoy those little mentions in it. There is a cat, a black cat involved. I was getting a little bit of Sabrina the Teenage Witch and reminded me of that in a cozy form. Not quite like that, but just little things here and there reminded me of it. So I did really enjoy it, but overall not my favorite cozy, but still a really great read. Then next I read Meet Me at the Lake. I wanted to get immediately into this and went straight to Walmart and got this because I really loved Every Summer After. And I know this is not a favorite of a lot of people, so I went in with low expectations. I did end up giving it a 3-star. I thought it was good, but the miscommunication in this did get on my nerves, and that is the only reason I rated it 3 stars. I just thought there was a large part of the story where if they had just communicated, it would have been much better. So this also wasn't my favorite couple out of the 2 I read by her. So I enjoyed it, but just didn't love it. There is spice, there is cussing, so those are content warnings for this. I believe that there is some grief mentions in here as well. So those are the trigger warnings that I would say, but definitely look them up if you want to know more detail about the trigger warnings. Then next I read The Lost Apothecary. I gave that one 4 stars. It was really good actually. I read this for a prompt. I had a prompt for Survivor, which was dual timeline, and I actually just picked this up on a whim because it was short and it fit the prompt and I could get it on audio. I thought the audio was really great. I thought it started off, really great with a bang, and just the whole time my attention was kept, but it wasn't a 5-star feel for me, but I did super enjoy it. It was kind of like magical and talking about just women kind of coming together and supporting each other, and a lot of the story follows women who are going through just some traumas and abuse in their life and having to kind of go to this person who helps them to make poisons for them and basically kill off these men. It is a darker read, but I just thought it was an interesting story, an interesting fantasy type story, and nothing I've ever read about. But I did enjoy it, and it also has the future timeline where she goes back and discovers this old shop that was running and is kind of learning about everything that had happened there in the past. So it is a good read. There is some trigger warnings. I would definitely look up abuse and different things like that, so just keep that in mind, but a really, really great read. And then next I read The Forgotten Chapter. I picked this one up because I had a prompt for a book that I predicted to be a 5-star read, and I predicted this to be a 5-star read because I do enjoy historical fiction, and Keisha recommended this to me, and it actually had several of my friends rated it a 5-star on there. And so I had high hopes. It was a really great read. It was super quick, short story. I think it's like 40 pages total, and there is a free Kindle Unlimited and Audible version with KU on Amazon, so check it out. It was really quick and easy to get through, and I did enjoy it. I thought it was beautiful. I gave it 4 stars though. It was not quite a 5-star for me, but it was a really enjoyable and emotional story. And then next I read the rule book, and if you just watched my past video last week, you will know that I loved this story so much. I gave it 5 stars. I love everything that Sarah Adams writes except the cheat sheet, and I loved this book. I thought the banter was great. I thought the romance was sweet. I thought the chemistry was great. It follows, I think it's Nora and Derek, and he is a football player. And what I really love about her sports romances is the friendship between the guys. It's just really cool to see. It's really funny, and they're all just really supportive of each other and cracking jokes, and it's just really a good time. But the romance was super sweet, and there is some travel in this. It is a really great summer read, and I just really enjoyed it. There is one spice scene in here, but she does include a spice rack in the front and tells you what chapter to skip past if you want to keep the door closed, as well as there is some language content warnings. And then next and last I read was Unravel Me. This was my pick by Hannah, and I went ahead and read it because I just went on a trip and I had an audio for it. So this was my TBR prompt for next month by Hannah, and I had really enjoyed the Shatter Me book, the first one, and I had high hopes for this one because so many people really loved this one the most. I did end up giving it 3 stars. It was still good, but I just felt like the romance, I don't know what it is, but it was just kind of cringy to me. I couldn't get behind it. I felt like I'm not going to mention the name because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't read the series, but the person that is in a relationship with her in this book, or starting a relationship with, I felt was very pushy. It almost seemed kind of predatory to me, and like forceful. And I just didn't think the chemistry was believable at all. She almost seemed scared of him and didn't even act like she liked him for most of the last 2 books. And now all of a sudden she likes him when he was pushing himself on her. This just kind of gave me the ick, to be honest with you. Not really sure why everyone loves the romance in this. I just don't get it. I don't follow. I am going to continue this series, but I was really let down by this, quite frankly. I'm sorry, Hannah, but I am going to continue the series, and hopefully I will be able to root for them eventually. But right now, I am not a fan of the relationship in this book. So that wraps up my June reading, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you've read any of these books, please let me know what you thought about them in the comments below. And if you don't know what else to put, go ahead and put a palm tree for the rule book, because I absolutely loved it. If you want more in depth on this one, and Every Summer After, and also Crime and Poetry, I have a reading vlog that I just posted last week, and you can go check that out. I will link it below. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.